Such a quiet group.
That's right, kids. It's been a while, but time for another third best Southgate. I'm Phil. Lilith is not here this time, but we're here with Rob, and we have a special guest.
Yes, Ben,
Martin
you're
Mooney.
here.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are all you guys doing? All two of you. I don't know why I phrased it like that. That was weird.
I don't know if you look at the pictures. There's 4 more of me in the picture there too. 5 if you see the little ones creeping out between the pictures there.
Which would that make you as the live Southgate? Does that make you the best of the Southgates currently on the call?
No, I actually fall down to about 8th best Southgate when those are on there. So
Dang,
yeah, it's a rough road.
it's tough to. I mean, I guess if it's pictures of your younger self, you know,
I get worse with age. Is that what you're saying?
I was gonna.
That's all right. I do.
All right,
I do.
I dug myself a very deep hole there very quickly. I see.
Yes. So, Ben, before we get into what we normally do on the show, why don't you tell us who you are?
Yes,
because I know you from a project that we're doing, but go ahead and tell people who you are.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I mean, you know my name already, so it's a good start. I'm one of the co-founders of Amateurish Productions, which is an actual play channel on Twitch. Sort of came out of all of the how do I phrase this nicely? Actually, that's not my job. My job is to not phrase things nicely.
Yeah, and seriously, on here you don't need to.
Yeah,
so it's Phil's headache, not mine.
Sorry, Phil. I will try my best not to swear too much. So last summer, a prominent TTRPG, what's the word? Luminary, I think is the word that was
Luminary.
used.
We can go with that.
Yeah. Was sort of outed. She and her little douche nozzle piss boy as being just terrible people. Started with Chad Rowe Tattoos, as folks who are sort of familiar with the whole thing might know. Sharing his experience with them professionally, which is a generous term for what happened, but and then sort of this like cascade of stories about terrible things that had been said and done to people kind of came out, which included my then fiance, now wife, and a friend of ours who were working together at PAX West, and which is how we met Rick, and sort of I guess through a long string of events how you and I met Rob.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we do TTRPG things, and that's kind of our shtick. Back in the day, I studied music, and now I don't do that anymore. So here we are.
Oh, what did you play?
I played Baroque Recorder.
Not the answer I was expecting at all.
What answer were you expecting?
I don't know. I played trumpet. I played oboe. I played Baroque Recorder.
Baroque Recorder. Yep. I was
third best answer.
Hey, we'll take it. That was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So
did you actually go to school for that?
Yeah, I went to Oberlin Conservatory.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Not many places do that. To be clear, I applied to 2 schools, and I looked at 4. I applied to 2, and it was between Peabody Conservatory in Baltimore and Oberlin Conservatory in Ohio.
And the 4th one was DeVry, and DeVry said, "We don't have a band. What are you?
Woodwinds? What's that?
What? Yeah. Well, I was a saxophone player. I actually haven't played in a long time, but that was actually what I was thinking I was going to do. My dad's an avant-garde jazz drummer, so I was like,
very cool.
Jazz, saxophone, this is where it's at." And I played alto sax, but
cool.
I'm kind of big. Like, I'm a big guy. So somewhere in high school, I got to play bari sax, and it fit me, and I loved the tone and everything. And the alto was just always kind of high-pitched, but I was an alto player, so I always played alto. But then I did switch in the concert band and played bari.
Okay.
Mainly because I lost the first chair, and then I'm like, screw this. Ego boy.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I loved playing bari. And then the whole time I was like, you know what? My dad also was a band director. And I found out later the reason he didn't start me on tenor, which is what he should have done due to my size and my playing style, he started me on alto because he's a band director and he had one. So thank God he didn't have a trombone laying around. Let's all make fun of those trombone players. Phil, what'd you play? Trombone?
No, I actually didn't play an instrument.
Really?
Yeah.
One of these things is not like the others.
I was gonna say I wasn't musically talented, but even Rob, I guess, can play a musical instrument. So how hard can it be?
Oh,
wow, the clapback was quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, actually I was kind of on my way, but when I look back at it, you know, I was always like first chair and everything, and in college I was. And then I was like, you know, when I look back, I'm like, you know what, I wasn't that good. I was good enough for the situations I was in. I was always lead chair, and I won first place and things. I went to state, but then I look back and I'm like, but what I wanted to do, I was not that good. So I made a decision. I actually, you want to hear, this is funny. I started, you know, you go to college, you're thinking about what you want to do. And I had been acting for a couple of years in high school, and I had been playing since 5th grade. And my whole life was like, oh, you're going to be a musician like your dad. And I loved music, right? And I was really into it. My thing was theory. Like
interesting.
I could not, you could not get around me with theory, right? And somewhere in high school, I was doing some acting and that, and I did like soul searching. What is it I really want to do? And I went, you know what? I want to be a musician. I really want to do this because someday I'm going to be famous with it, and they're going to want to make a movie of me, and maybe I can play myself in the movie. And then I went, wait a minute. I want to be in a movie. I don't care about the music part of it. I mean, I love the music part of it, but to me, that's part of the scene. It was, I wanted to be in a movie, and I didn't actually want to play myself. I wanted to be in a movie. Okay. So why not go into acting? And then I did a semester of acting and quit. But I did. I did, because I was like, this sucks. They wanted me to do musicals. I'm like, yeah, I'm not that guy. Listen to my voice. I am not a singer like that.
I did musical theater for a very long time when I was younger.
Oh, yeah. I want to push you around a little bit. Hey, Phil, can we virtually throw pennies at him? Yeah.
I've been waiting for that sound.
Yeah. Actually, this week, Phil and I did a show together. I got to co-host.
Oh, yeah.
We interviewed a friend of mine from high school, Todd Stashwick, who was kind of my rival. Like, as he put it, if I didn't get the lead, he got the lead. That's how it went all through high school. So we were always kind of right there. And he's a captain on Picard right now. So he has done very well. I'm sitting here talking to Ben, who I hardly know, and Phil, who I know maybe too much. Phil, would you say?
Probably, yeah. So yes, Todd is the captain on this Star Trek, and you're not even the captain. And
no, I gave up my network. I was captain of a network, and I gave it away.
He is not master of his own domain.
No.
Damn.
Nah. What can you do? So that was the history there. But music is still really important to me. My daughter has started playing guitar, and she's really gotten into music. And she's a writer. She's a professional actress, and she also writes. She won a Fine Arts Award at Interlochen. If you did your thing, you know what that is. Yeah.
It's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially since she got it for writing. They gave 3 in the writing department this year. And then we went back and we watched the last couple of years, and they gave none in the writing department. So this was a big deal.
Wow. Congratulations.
But she uses that to write song lyrics and all that, poetry. Very cool. Yeah, man, she's really gotten the bug. Now, we can't necessarily talk theory the way I used to know theory.
Theory was also never my strong suit. So please don't
really?
put me on the spot.
Yeah,
I was a performance major. I loved performing. I hated theory. I was like, I know when it sounds good. I know when it's crunchy. I like know when to lean into it. Please don't make me write it down.
Oh, man. Yeah. I could look at anything. I understood it. But it's also why sight reading was my thing. You know, because if you understand theory the way I understood it, sight reading is like you're just putting the notes to what you already see.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And my friend, one of my best friends, maybe my best friend, Jack, went on to become the lead trumpet. We played in college together. We played in jazz camps when we were kids together. Yeah, I'm that nerd. We went to jazz camp.
This one time at jazz camp.
Yeah, now Phil's going to throw pennies at me. Jack went on to be the lead trumpet in the President's Big Band, retired from that, did the full tour, and ended up getting his doctorate in jazz performance. And he is now driving Lyft, as most people that got their doctorate did. I got my master's and right into the car for a while. But he's teaching at a couple of schools and playing cruise ships, and he played the QE2, which is friggin' awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah, man. So he's kind of living the life, but I love it. He'll send pictures. He sends selfies to me, and it'll be like, "Oh, look who I'm playing with." And the one time he sends one, and I can see he's sitting, how trumpets sit in their different chairs. He's in the lead chair. Then there's the jazz chair. He's sitting in the lead chair. The jazz chair is Arturo Sandoval. I'm like, dude, is that Arturo Sandoval? He's like, yes. He's playing second chair to me right now. I'm like, holy. And then he sends a picture. He's like, I had the greatest night. And it's a picture of Quincy Jones on one side and John Williams on the other with their arms around him. And he said, you have not lived as a trumpet player till you play the Indiana Jones theme conducted by John Williams.
I mean,
I know no Baroque recorder player is ever going to have that happen.
Never. Not even once.
I wrote the soundtrack to The Witcher. Maybe he'll play on that. It's not a recorder lead, but I did write a part for you.
There's a reason I dropped out after 2 years. I was like, I do not want to do this.
You're like, how many magical shows do you do at this school?
Oh gosh.
Do I have to wear the yellow tights again? God damn it.
Don't bring the tights up, all right? It's still a sore topic.
My first play. Phil, you're gonna love this.
Oh boy, here we go.
My first play was in 5th grade. So they did Willy Wonka. What do you think I played?
An Oompa Loompa?
Oh no, I don't. Ben, you don't know me. I was an a-hole as an actor. I don't play bit parts. I don't play Oompa Loompa. Who do you think I played? Who is the best casting for me?
What's that kid's name? Augustus.
What am I, a Lil? No, Mike TV.
Mike TV. Oh, okay.
What a perfect casting for me. So I did that, and then I didn't do anything, and then I get to high school, and my first play where I was like, I'm actually going to try and do something was Taming of the Shrew, and I played an old man, and then I had to wear yellow tights, and I had to do the madrigals and show up at that and walk around and tell jokes, and it was like, I was like, oh God, I don't want to be in chorus and hang out with these kids. Ding! That came up. So, but I was a snob about that stuff. There's a family story that makes me look really bad that I think is really funny. So my senior year, when you're the lead, you wouldn't know this because you played Baroque recorder. There's only one, right? But if you're in the symphonic band, there's the lead trumpet, the lead clarinet, the lead flute. You all kind of hang together, right? Like weird. It is. But the lead trombone, the lead trumpet, we were all friends. We were a friend group. And it was weird because we came in as freshmen. We all sat second chair. The next 3 years, we were all the lead chairs. Okay. That's not normal either. So my senior year, there was a guy that I hung out with there and I was friends with or whatever. And he says, oh, I got to go to band. And I went, you're not in band. And he goes, no, I'm in band. I go, what are you talking about? It's noon. We just finished band. I'm in the hallway here. Why are you in the band hallway? And he goes, no, I'm in the band. Turns out I was in the top symphonic band, and there was another band for the lower band. My senior year, I had no idea. The whole time there was another band. I'm such an asshole.
This poor guy.
I had no idea.
Come on, man. Why you gotta do me like that?
And he's like, you've walked in while we're rehearsing. I thought, I thought you guys were just doing some kind of sectional thing or something. I don't know what's going on. I'm not that bad anymore.
Okay.
I'm not that bad anymore. Yeah. And speaking of which, Sung-Hee Lee, who was the lead clarinet player the whole time, lived up the street from me. We were friends for years, junior high and everything. She was just nominated for a Grammy for classical clarinet.
Heck yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
That's the clarinet is such a beautiful instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And she actually, I didn't know this, but she said she had stopped playing for a while and
Really?
recently got back into it. And here she is, bam, playing with the London Symphony Orchestra, bam, puts out an album, gets nominated for a Grammy. I'm like, dude.
So
now she's got a crystal one. She's wearing the weird outfits on stage. She's Lizzo. No, I'm kidding.
So basically, the point, the whole point of your life story is you've brushed up against greatness a few times, but you've always ricocheted right off it.
You saw that movie 20 Feet from Stardom? I was 227 feet from stardom all the time. Yeah.
A life next to greatness. The Rock.
Oh, the life next to greatness. I'm sitting right next to Phil. Phil is the master of his domain here. He is the king of the Capes and Lunatics network.
Very cool.
Yeah, amazing, right?
Well, that doesn't even get you a cup of coffee. You know that. Come on.
True. Are you guys getting questions for me here, or what do we got going on this episode?
No one said.
Or are we just going to talk? We can keep talking about the recorder.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to ask you. I don't know if Ben's seen this movie yet. I haven't, but I saw the other day. I guess you and the family stopped on your road trip. You saw Cocaine Bear. Is that any good?
I am so curious about this movie.
Okay, let me preface this.
Is it another Sharknado or
no? Sharknado is not good. I hate myself every time I watch it. It's not good.
But you keep watching it.
You know what is actually better? That's really terrible but highly enjoyable is Santa Shark. That one, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed. A shark swimming and there's a murder and the Santa hat falls in the water and it sticks to the shark's fin and then it like attacks people because the spirit of the killer is in the shark. It actually was better than Sharknado. But no, Cocaine Bear is not Sharknado. It is not Sci-Fi Channel crap. It knows what it is. It is a B movie that is glorious. Now, Ben, I don't know if you're into that type of movie. Phil, I actually don't know if you're into that type of movie. I love that type of movie. Horror movies, I am big on. Here's my deal with movies. Like, I'm also a movie snob, just like I told you I can be a band snob. I've studied film. Like, I really get into like good directors and cinematographers like light me up. I love that, right? I love great writing and I get really, really geeky about acting. Okay. And like, especially kid actors, I am cruel. Okay. That's what my daughter's like super gifted at it. We're always like, look, if I'm not being cruel to you, it means you're really good. Because kid actors usually suck. And a lot of adult actors, not so great, Don. Unless you're watching Mad Men, they're all fabulous. So anyway, I have that part of me. And then I have this other part that would watch Reanimator every day for the rest of my life because it is one of the greatest films ever made. Repo Man is on a constant loop in my head. I love these kind of movies. And here's why I love them. They take you someplace else. They take risks. They do something that give you some type of emotion. I love horror movies because the ones that are bad don't do anything for you. You could just laugh at them. The ones that are actually good, like I just watched X. X is phenomenal. Barbarian, phenomenal. Cocaine Bear, now those would be like your A movies. Cocaine Bear is a B movie. It is below that as far as, but it is a friggin' ride. I'd give it 5 stars. I loved this movie. It is nuts. It is super gory. Look, guys, it's a movie about a bear that eats a ton of cocaine. It's not going to be a Disney movie.
I'd hope not.
Well, maybe it is. The coked up little toaster. Didn't you guys see that one? It was fantastic. No, but it's like what happens when you give a bear a ton of cocaine and then you wander into the woods. Hey, look at that bear. Let's take a picture. What do you think happens? Margot Martindale is a park ranger with a gun. She's amazing in it. There's only a little acting that was terrible. Mitchell from Modern Family was awful in this movie. Awful.
He's in the
awful.
movie?
He's in it. Awful,
Really?
awful, awful, awful. Everyone, all the other adults, I was like, right on. I don't know what the hell. I think he thought I'm going to camp it up and be funny. Wrong move. Ray Liotta, match him. He's in it, and Ray Liotta, he's Ray Liotta in this movie. He's chasing a coked up bear, trying to get his coke back. I mean, when you hear that description, you start at 5 stars, and all it can do is slip stars if it goofs that up. It didn't goof it up. It's fantastic. Fantastic.
I appreciate that they didn't try to stretch it into like one of the many 3-hour movies, which apparently is the thing that we do these days.
Right.
Like, keep it concise, keep it good, and then end it before you've run out of things to do. And it's just like, all right, well, I guess we drag this.
They don't run out of things to do in this, but
That's
yes,
awesome.
They ended at the right place. It's fantastic. If you like just a good time adult because it's violent as hell. I mean, like it starts off with you see a woman's leg get flying through the air, and you're like, okay, this is what we're getting. Elizabeth Banks directed it. Fantastic. I mean, she did she's great. It was just great, man. Just great. I loved it. For This Week in Geek, I'm going to declare it right now. It might be movie of the year for 2023. And it's only February, or it's March now. It was only February when I saw it.
Yeah.
So for the Twiggies next year, that might be number one.
That's a strong statement.
It's going to be a hard road. I was in a play back in the early 90s, and it was awful. It was awful. Dramatic pause there. That's how bad it was. And in the Reader, which is like a free paper here that their critics, well regarded, they did a review of this, and they said, first of all, my friend Bill was in it with me. They said Rob Southgate and Bill Russell must really desperately want to be acting, because why the hell are they in this? So that was a compliment, backhanded, but compliment.
Hey,
but it said in there, it is February, but I can with confidence say this is the worst show in Chicago of this year. It was never proven wrong. It was awful. I think Cocaine Bear is going to be a tough one to top. I can't think of anything coming that's going to be better than Cocaine Bear.
So is it a good movie, or is it like a good bad movie where it's like it's so bad but it's like you have to watch?
No, it's not so bad that it's good. It's weird and crazy, but it's so good. It's like Bubba Hotep. If you're a Bubba Hotep fan, you get what that is, where it's like, this isn't actually bad. This is actually a good script. It's a crazy, weird ass movie, and it's not for everybody, but man, for the people that hit Bubba Hotep, it is 5 stars. Repo Man, same thing. Like I said, Cocaine Bear is going to go on my shelf proudly. And then all the sequels on the Sci-Fi Channel, I'm going to hate myself for watching them, but I'm going to watch them. I'm going to watch them. Cocaine Bear versus Cocaine Shark is going to be a chef's kiss, and I'm going to be, stuck in that seat watching it going, yes, this is so bad. But Cocaine Bear itself, not bad. It's a great B movie.
So go ahead, Phil.
No, I was going to say, because I don't know about sequels, but sometimes those people try to do like knockoffs of popular movies. So, like Sci-Fi Channel's going to have like, I don't know. Morphine Panda or something,
It's just lazier than the average panda.
Exactly.
Hold on a second. Take my money for Morphine Panda. I'm going to watch the shit out of that. That sounds awesome.
Amphetamine mongoose.
Oh my god!
That would be legitimately scary. I'd
right.
That would be, like or like something with a honey badger. I don't know, uppers with a honey badger.
Oh,
done.
Yeah, no, honey badger. That's going to be a problem. Yep. Okay, so here's a better way to describe this. Did you see Snakes on a Plane? So Snakes on a Plane, when that movie came out, it had all the promise of Cocaine Bear. You saw the trailers. They were awesome. Samuel Jackson, get these MFing snakes off my MFing plane. Everybody's like, 5 stars. Then you see the movie, and it's not that great. There's parts of it that are really a lot of fun. It's not highly rewatchable because it's just not that good. Cocaine Bear had the same promise. So I thought maybe it's going to be another Snakes on a Plane. It is not. This is what Snakes on the Plane should have been. I could watch this thing tonight. It was so much fun.
Is it as quotable? Because I feel like even though Snakes on a Plane was not terribly good and sort of like faded out pretty quickly, I feel like there are lines from that movie that have stuck around sort of in like the social vernacular.
Yeah, sure. You get these MF and snakes off my MF and plane. That
Everyone knows that line. Like you know that line whether or not you've seen the movie. I was thinking about it. I haven't seen it, but I know that line.
Yeah, that line, from what I understand, was not in the script.
That tracks.
It was after they did the previews and people hated it. They were screening it and people hated it. They went back and they had Samuel Jackson add that bit, and they used it in the trailer, and it drove people to the theater.
That tracks.
Yeah. I don't remember any lines from it, but that doesn't mean anything. It'll take a couple of watchings for me to like pick up on whatever the lines are. I'm sure there are lines in this thing. I'm sure there are quotable things. Margot Martindale was dropping them left and right, I'm sure. Ray Liotta had to have been. All I remember is all the stuff I don't want to tell you because it's going to ruin the experience, but it's just freaking awesome. It's just awesome.
And again, I don't know if I trust your judgment, but did Maeve and Molly like it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Phil, you could always trust my judgment. I am never wrong about this stuff.
Oh yeah, I hear that.
Look at my history.
I've got one thing, and it's belief in my pop culture preferences.
I get so much right.
Those are quotes that they're dropping from me. They're right. So, what else? What else you got for me? You want to talk about Cocaine Bear some more?
I was gonna say, is that the only thing you've seen in the theater this year? Have you seen Quantum Mania yet?
No, the only thing I saw Black Widow.
How was that?
And then I think I saw something else. And now I've seen Cocaine Bear. That's how long it's been since we've really been in a theater. I loved Black Widow. I know that it got people didn't like it. I thought it was really great. Yeah, I think that it was unfortunate that it came out when COVID hit. So people didn't go to the theater to see it. And then everyone's like, oh, but we already know she died in the one thing. So it's like a prequel, and who cares? Who cares? The fact that it's the movie we were waiting for and they pulled it off. I had a blast with it.
Oh yeah. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. Great villains. Everything was cool in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah, I feel like action or a spy thriller, superhero. Yeah, I mean, it was good.
So Ben, you do actual play. What game do you play?
Well, we've been playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, which is
okay.
I got into TTRPGs pretty late in life. I didn't find them until I was like 25. So I've only been playing for almost 7 years now.
Okay.
Relatively short time. Totally hooked.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing, right?
So good. Currently learning Pathfinder because we're actually switching over our actual play campaign from 5th edition to Pathfinder 2nd edition.
Okay.
I will say my sort of like, if I'm not trying to do something serious though, my favorite is is it bubblegumming? Is it something to do with kicking ass and chewing bubblegum?
Yeah.
Which
like,
is
from They Live.
Yeah. Oh, that so much fun. So much fun.
I came here kicking bubblegum, and
I'm
all out of bubblegum.
Exactly. But the game is based on like if you're trying to do something normal, you're rolling dice and you're trying to get less than the amount of a bubblegum that you have. But if you're trying to do something that's like kick ass, you're rolling the dice and trying to get higher than the amount of bubblegum you have. And when you fail, your amount of bubblegum like goes up and down. And so eventually you can no longer just open a car door, but you can kick the door off the car altogether to do like normal shit.
Amazing.
So it becomes this like ridiculous game where it's like I want to jump like a quarter mile into the air and come down with the people's elbow on the enemy, and whatever. And like the more outrageous, the better it is. It's a phenomenal game. Great played with Skittles, except that as somebody who has a bit of a sweet tooth, eventually I do run out of candy altogether.
You're out of bubblegum.
Like
Skittles.
Yeah.
Phil, have you ever played any TTRPG stuff?
Not really. Like I know back in high school, like some of my friends and I would put like just barely skim the surface of like a couple role playing games, but yeah, I've never really like.
You are missing out. Phil's a big superhero guy. When I was in high school, I shared a picture recently. Somebody found in one of our old yearbooks. I've thrown all my stuff away. I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. But there's a picture of me in D&D club, like my freshman year. Man, nerd. I posted on Facebook. I'm like, look, it's the original Hellfire Club. And we played D&D. I don't know what edition. It was probably like edition 2. I think it was something like that back then. But then we started branching out, and they brought in Champions, and we played that for a little bit.
Champions.
And then everyone liked that, and the guy's like, well, I have a better superhero game. And everyone at the time loved Champions. He brought in the Marvel game. That Marvel tabletop was by TSR was unbelievable. Like I was like, this is the greatest game. And I'll give you a pro tip on that. If you're into this stuff, if you do some searching, TSR is out of business, right? So if you do some searching, there are blogs out there. There's one specific one that has all the modules, everything from that Marvel game. And they're like, look, I've searched. Nobody owns the rights to this game. So they put it up for free on there. And they're like, if somebody wants to shut me down, I will gladly stop giving it away for free. But you can go and download the entirety of the Marvel TSR RPG. It's amazing. The other thing I found was the Indiana Jones one with all the modules, which is less than amazing. That is not a good role-playing game. But how fun is it to try and break an Indiana Jones game?
That sounds great.
Yeah, I found another one too that I printed off for my daughter, another out of print. I found her the Sailor Moon game, which is actually really good.
Interesting. My wife was super into. Actually, I think like a bunch of her friends and they like Sailor Moon. Big on it.
Oh yeah. Huh. Well, you're that age. So this theater that my daughter is involved with, one of the things that got us in with this theater was they were doing a Sailor Moon like parody show. And we were going to it. They would do like 3 episodes a night. And it was hilarious. And it was a blast. And it got my daughter way into Sailor Moon. She used to cosplay it. And then she ended up being in one of their shows. And now she is a literary coordinator for a theater. She's an ensemble member at 15.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So when you ask why I'm called the 3rd best Southgate, there's one of the reasons. Then let me introduce you to my wife. If my parents were here, I slipped down to 5th best. If we start including cats, I don't include the dead ones, so it does raise me up a little bit.
Hey. Oof.
So, Phil, you would love that Marvel game. I would love for somebody to run that Marvel game with you and Charlie and Lilith playing. That would be a Patreon show I would pay for. Ben, you have no idea. Charlie is an encyclopedia of Marvel knowledge.
Really?
It would make it the greatest game because he would be so stuck on all the little details and it would make it hilarious. And then you let me play and I just break the games. I steal characters' pants because I figure, if somebody attacks me and I steal their pants, they're going to be too embarrassed to come back later. So you'll know that I've been through a dungeon because there's pants wadded up in the corner all over the place.
That's an interesting methodology.
It works.
Huh.
It works. I've busted many a game where they're like, you know what? I'm gonna have to figure out what we roll for that. Yeah. Embarrassment +2. Damn.
Willpower save, depending on, or wisdom save, maybe.
Yeah, it works really well. We were playing a game where it was called Hideouts and Hoodlums, and we were playing like a 1940s superhero game, and all the bad guys, they'd come in and we'd beat them up. We're the superheroes. We beat them up, and then I'd steal their pants. And they're like, "Why are you taking their pants?" I'm like, "Look, this is the 40s. These guys are not going to come after us."
Roll for pervert. Roll for pervert.
I didn't say my character didn't hang back. So, is your wife out of town?
Oh.
What do you think of Bogey? So anyway, Ben, you and I are both involved in Storytellers Forge. They're putting out the Black Ballad. They have a backer kit coming out March 7th. I wanted to bring you on to kind of mention this. It comes out March 7th. If you want to check this thing out, it's so fantastic. And if you want to check it out, Phil is going to put a link in the show notes that I will share with him. Hit that, get on the email list. You'll get notified when it goes live. You'll also get updates in that then as the thing is progressing. But this thing is awesome. Ben, do you want to give a little synopsis of what the Black Ballad is?
Sure. I mean, I think the best way to describe it is that space in between life and death. So, for those of us who've been, playing for a while and have either accidentally or intentionally sacrificed or just killed one of their own characters, you are given the opportunity to play that character, to bring them back in that space in between, which is just...
Yeah, it's 10 chapters of like
so cool,
like just dealing with hell.
Yeah.
And gods, fighting gods, and that, and you're stuck in between. And one of the things I love is, so I was interviewing somebody today who's part of the team, and they said there's a poker thing in there where you actually like play poker to find out you want to gamble. You can either come back or you really lose. And we were talking about like how, you think, oh, well, what do I have to lose? My character's already dead. But you know what? We were watching game shows this weekend, and we noticed there was a guy, he won $1,000. Okay. He was Card Sharks. That show sucked, the new version of it. But anyway, Card Sharks. He had $1,000. They said, okay, well, you can bet more. And if you win like 20 grand. And he took the 1,000. That's exactly what will happen with this. Some people are going to go, I think I'm going to be able to survive this, or I know I would rather walk away without the humiliation at this point, so they won't gamble. Other people like me are going to be like, hell yeah, let's gamble it all. But you've already made it through hell. You're already at the gate, and you don't have to, no, let's gamble it. Let's see what happens. That's why I don't gamble.
At the end of the day, like, when you're stuck in purgatory, what is the thing that you can gamble with the most? Time.
Yeah.
It's your time.
Yeah.
Which is a fascinating concept.
Yeah, I love it.
It's such a cool, like, to the idea of wagering how long you're willing to spend versus how long somebody else is willing to spend.
Yeah, I know, it's great. It's great. The other thing is, it's kind of a standalone, so you can either play with your dead characters, or you can just play it as a standalone. You can play it in between things, which is awesome. And it's also based on a like death metal album, symphonic album.
So cool. It's so good. I have a massive soft spot for symphonic metal.
Yeah.
It's
I know, it's just incredible. So also, Phil, I'm going to give you a link to the trailer you can put in there. Oh. If nothing else, watch this trailer. It's got the music in it, which is badass. And then the voiceover is by Carlos, the guy who did the voice of Dom in Gears of War.
Ooh.
You ever played Gears of War? Either of you? Well, you did.
I've
Phil, have you ever played Gears of War?
No.
Oh my God.
I know
such a good voice for it. Oh,
yeah, the first Gears of War is like glorious, and his voice, oh my God, it's just the greatest. In fact, I would encourage you to go and watch, his voice is in it, but watch the original trailer for Gears of War. It will make you want to play it, because they just showed footage of the game and they played the song Mad World, and that's it. You just hear the song playing, and he's running through with the gun, and these things are coming out, and he's shooting them, and it's going Mad World, and you're like, oh my God.
I had forgotten that trailer until just now, and I am like, I can see it in my head because it stuck with me. It was such a good juxtaposition of this like beautiful melancholy song with just like this ultra violent gameplay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Very cool stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. And he's got just like the perfect voice for that character.
Yeah. If there had only been a bear snorting cocaine in that game, then it would have had real legs. So what else you got? What are the questions you got? I've monopolized. I want to hear questions.
I was gonna say, Ben, you have any questions for Rob?
No,
I have no. I was gonna say I have unfettered access most of the time. So
Ben, I thought you were coming prepared.
So I'm trying to decide. I've got, I guess, my first question, because I realized that I maybe this came up in the call that you and I were on prior to this, but I spaced because I have severe ADHD. But I don't actually know how you and Rick know one another. and I'm curious, like how this happened.
Okay, so first of all, for people that don't know who Rick is like,
That's a good one. to start
let's
with.
just say he's the mastermind behind it. He's the writer that kind of orchestrated this. He put the Storyteller Forge together. That other group that you mentioned, he was a head writer on the Red Opera there, and he wrote a lot of that. And then when that like went kablooey, he made sure people got taken care of that were supposed to get taken care
Rick
of. He's an amazing guy.
Absolutely stand up.
Yeah,
individual.
Yeah, he is no joke. Rick Hines is a top-notch guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you know who Rick is when we refer to Rick. His name is Rick Hines. He's a writer. He's a sci-fi writer, and he's written 2 fantastic books. If you haven't read them, The Seventh Age and then Seventh Age Part 2. I don't know what the next one's called. I've got it sitting on my shelf, and I've got the wrong glasses on. I can't tell you
I
what
should
it is
know
from
this.
here. Anyway,
Sorry, Rick.
go back in time. Probably 9 years ago, might have been 8 years ago. One of the things we did with our podcast network was we did live shows. We did these live marathons. The reason we started doing those was we went, and nobody was doing them at the time. That didn't exist. And we had access to the Blue Box Cafe in Elgin. My friend Chris owns it. And we were doing live stuff there. So he was like, hold on. Look at this shill. The Blue Box Cafe.
Wow, look at that.
So he was like, yeah, do a marathon, do whatever you want. So we did this live marathon, and it was a way to promote our shows because we had so many shows, but then nobody was in Chicago to do them. So we ended up having to get other podcasters into it. The first year we did, I think, a 10-hour marathon. The next year we did 2 consecutive 14-hour marathons, one in the studio live, one streaming on YouTube. At the same time, and I was trying to manage both things. That was nuts.
Sounds nightmarish.
And I think it was the second one that Matt came down. So one of the things we did was we absorbed a few little networks. Okay. They would come to us and be like, we love what you're doing with your network. We want to be a part of it. We see the future with what you're doing. And do you want to take us on? And my wife and I always went, yeah, let's figure it out. And we took on Matt's group. It's called the Nerds Domain. They did a Mask of Nyarlathotep. It's a Call of Cthulhu game. They did actual play. And in fact, to my knowledge, they were the first podcast to do actual play. I have not found an earlier podcast than them. And they came down to do their show live on our marathon because I asked them to. And at first, Matt said, how would I possibly do this live? I said, I don't care. You're just going to do it live. Chris and I are going to be your players, and you're just going to do it. And he was like, how long do I have to go? You got a half hour. He goes, I can't do it in a half hour. I goes, yeah, you can. We're going to have everything rolled. We're going to be ready to go. We're just going to jump in there. And trust me, Chris and I are going to move this story along because Chris and I used to play all these games together. And he was also a big breaker. Chris died a couple years ago, so I've lost my best friend. But we used to play these games, and we were both notorious for we're getting in there and we're going to break this thing and just have fun with it. We didn't ruin it for other players. We'd make it great for other players, as much fun as we could. So we're like, look, just do it. Well, we did it. We did Call of Cthulhu live, a half hour. The way I resolved it as time was running out, because I'm watching the clock, as I shot we were on a boat and these things were attacking us. And then I look and there's this other boat, and I shot a rifle into the boat. So it blew up, and it caused the oil tanker that we were on to blow up because it's an oil tanker. And Cthulhu rose out of the water and ate all of us at once. And Matt was like, wow, you did it in a half hour. You awakened Cthulhu. Of course I did. It's what I do.
That's a badass way to do it, too.
We also think that was the first time an actual play podcast was recorded live in front of an audience. We have not found an earlier one of those either. So really fun. And of course, you listen to them now, you're like, that's not very good the way you did it. Yeah, nobody else had done it. Give me a break, man. Alexander Graham Bell's first phone call was not that exciting.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Right.
Yeah. So no, it's my headphones. Hold on. I really can't. No, I'm kidding.
You gotta hit the mute button again.
Yes. Yeah. Phil's just like, please, Rob, hit the mute button, please. For all that is holy, Rob.
The old man is muted.
Is this muted?
Have you unplugged it and plugged
It's-
it back in?
Is it time to go to bed yet? So anyway, Matt also then brought Nerds Domain, and he was like, I'm going to do a show, but my other people didn't show up. So he had met Rick at something, invited him to come down because he was in Chicago. He's from Chicago. Said, hey, can you come out and talk about your book? Way before all this TTRPG stuff, he was just putting out, I don't even know if Seventh Age was out. He was talking about it. He also was writing for Geek and Sundry at the time and The Nerdist.
Okay, yeah.
And he comes up to me afterwards, and well, we didn't know each other. He just comes up, he's like, you're the one running this? Well, yeah. He goes, this is the greatest event like ever. He's like, how did The Nerdist not write about you? I go, they don't know about us. He goes, how is Geek and Sundry not like here covering this? I go, you're Geek and Sundry. Can you cover it? And he tried, but they weren't interested. But he was just like, wow. So for years then we became friends on Facebook, and we just stayed in touch. And then when Red Opera was coming out, I did a show called Go Fund This, which I'm still doing, but I invited him on that to talk about that. So we talked about Red Opera. And then we're on this board for the science fiction and fantasy theater I mentioned, the Otherworld Theater in Chicago, the one my daughter is part of.
Mhm.
And they were looking, we didn't want to be on the board. We wanted to like be advisory. So they made an advisor board. And I said, oh, I can get you more advisors. So I wrote to Rick and I said, hey, are you interested? He was like, hell yeah. So he's an advisor on the board with us, which is pretty awesome. We went to a gala for them in December or something, their Christmas party. It was awesome. And Rick and I talked the whole time. And he was like, oh, I'm doing this thing, and we've got this deal with this publisher, and I'm starting this RPG thing, and I got to talk to you about this. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And I'm thinking he wants to come on a show or something. And then a few weeks ago, I posted a thing that my new business is I actually coach people on reaching their dream project. Okay. So what I do is I help people that are typically over 40 that have a dream project that's been eating at them for a while, a creative one. And I help them get past the roadblocks and actually get to the finish line. Okay. I love it. I helped somebody do a Lord of the Rings mental health book last year, and I had the greatest time ever doing it. I hooked him up with, and see, I do a little bit of consulting too. So like when I'm talking to him, I'm like, look, I got an editor for you. I got an artist for you that I can hook you up with. And it came out great. And they're just thrilled. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I love doing. I love helping people make their dreams come true. That's my thing. Phil wanted to be a podcaster. Phil, you're a podcaster.
Oh, am I?
Phil wanted to get away from me. Phil has his own network now. And now I'm on it, and he has to listen to me. So that's what I do. So I posted like, hey, if anyone has a dream project they want to do, contact me. Rick immediately writes on the thread, I have to talk to Rob Southgate on another thread that just after I wrote it. Then he contacted me. He was like, hey, can we meet? And I thought this was going to be about like maybe me coaching him. I didn't know what it was. And it was all about the Black Ballad and about Storytellers Forge. And I was like, he's like, I want you to be part of this. And I'm like, freaking yeah, man. I'm all about it. Gaming, weird sci-fi, fantasy, horror. Yeah, man. And then everyone I've talked to, literally everybody in Storytellers Forge has been awesome. I have enjoyed every single person immensely. This is a wonderful group. This is a wonderful project. And here's the thing. If it works, if this backer kit works, there are actually much bigger stakes than, we're going to put out a game. It has to work. And this is one of the reasons he brought me on. If it works, we now have a company. And Storytellers Forge gets to do the next project and the next project. They have more projects involving Black Ballad. I already was talking to the writer on my show, TTRPG Insider. I was talking to Michael about it, and Michael OJ, and he was talking about like he's writing a whole gods thing for chapter 2. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I know other projects that are like floating out there, and I know some people that are involved in those, and I'm like, oh God, this backer kit has got to work. So everybody listening, not only do I want you to throw a few bucks in there to make it happen, share it on your social media. Please share it, because whether you're into TTRPG. So Phil, you haven't played or anything, right?
Mm-mm.
But you could share it on your Twitter, just like, hey,
Oh,
boom, share my tweet because I'm going to do some tweets and stuff this week. Share it because you don't know who in your friends group is like me or Ben that would be like, hell yeah, this is cool. You don't know who in there is going to hear, Dom's voice from Gears of War and be like, what? This is a cool project. I want to support these guys. Right? So share it. It's the best thing you can do. Share it out there. And if you want to throw a few bucks, do it. I mean, my God, that's why I started GoFund this. And you know what I found after talking to people and hearing their stories? I want to support their art. I want to support their dream. And really, $5 adds up.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
with the reach, especially, with Twitter and stuff. And granted, Twitter is very much similar to my current background, but you have a network, you share it, a couple people share it.
Yep.
That's, even truly, if it is just $5, that adds up so quickly when so many people can get their eyes on something and say, you know what, hey, maybe I like the artwork and I just want to, chip in to help just the artist.
Yeah, just to
that's
make this
like just
happen.
the thing you care about. You're like, yeah,
Right.
you know what, I like what they did. I want to support them.
Or read the story of Storytellers Forge and you're like, oh, this company is awesome because it's a great concept.
It is so cool.
And you go, I like this idea. I don't need the book, but I want to support this. I want to see more of this. That's when you support it.
Yeah.
So that's why I invited Ben on, because I was like, hey, let's have somebody else from this on here. Otherwise, it's just me spouting my crap, which we've all heard. But I really do believe in it. I'm so excited about it. And I have been just meeting the greatest people because of it. And Phil is going to have, I think you're having Rick on a show.
Yes. Yeah. Next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Which you're going to love him, man.
That's going to be a blast.
You're going to love him.
Rick is great. Pat is amazing.
Pat is actually doing on, I don't know the name of it. We'll have to share this later, but on a Twitch channel
It's my Twitch channel on the 8th.
No.
Of March?
No.
Different.
You're not with Mitchell Wallace, right?
Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, never mind. He's doing. Is he cheating? Is he cheating? On
No.
With a different Twitch channel?
I interviewed Mitch, and Mitch is actually involved with Black Ballad or Storytellers Forge. And Mitch said to me when we were talking about all this, and he does marketing and that, he said, he was telling me all this stuff about Twitch. And I'm like, wait a minute, I got to crack into this. And he said, I have a Twitch channel. It's just kind of sitting there, but I have a huge subscriber base. If you want to run a game on there. So he knows Rick. I connected the two of them, and Pat, I think, is doing 3 or 5 nights.
He's a machine.
And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Rick wanted to do it, but then I'm like, Rick, remember what you do for this? And he was like, oh yeah. And then like I had paranormal shows reaching out to me because I'm trying to make the reach go outside of TTRPG into the world of
great idea.
Things.
Yeah.
And I got these paranormal shows and Rick's like, I want to talk paranormal. I'm like, dude, no, go on Capes and Lunatics. The one show I want you on is Phil's show. Get on there, it's really funny. It's really funny. You want to hear the funniest one? Today, I had a podcast reach out to me, and we're going to end not Pat. Is it Pat? No, Jeff is going to be on it. They do a movie review podcast. Okay. But they're like improvisers, and they're doing it like one plays the character of a demon and the other one, like, I don't know, a fast food worker or something. And they have this whole thing. They like improvise their thing, and then they do a movie review in the middle of it, and a guest can pop in. And I'm like, so I write to Jeff. I'm like, here's this wacky thing. Now, I knew Jeff would like it because we had seriously had a half-hour conversation about Cocaine Bear last night before we turned on the recorder, because he loved it as much as I do. Like, we just were like holding hands virtually, talking about Cocaine Bear,
kicking your feet, sitting on a swing,
kicking our feet. Yeah, it was sweet. So I'm like, I know which guy is going to want to do this because I'm going to guest on the show. Because when I listen to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, this is weird. I'm all in.
What a wild idea! I love that.
And I'm like, if they have 8 listeners, there might be. What if there's one person in there that's like, oh, I'll throw $1,000 at Black Ballad.
I mean, if you're listening to a podcast where one of them is a fast food worker, one of them is a demon, and they do a movie review in the middle, I feel like this is probably up your alley. I could be wrong.
Black Ballad could be your thing.
But I I feel like it's the right demographic.
You want to hear another good one that I got?
Yeah.
So Jesse was in our network. He has a show that's been on forever. It's called Set Listing Bruce. It's about Bruce Springsteen, right? But he talks about just music fandom and that. But it started there. It's kind of centralized on Springsteen. Drake, the symphonic black metal dude, is going to be on Set Listing Bruce. And I asked him first, I asked Jesse, does this fit? And Jesse's like, oh yeah, it's music. He's going to be passionate about music. I'll have him on. Now I interviewed Drake, and Drake was a phenomenal interview, right? So I asked Drake. Drake's like, yeah, I do artwork for a lot of classic rock bands, including like Springsteen. So I could talk this all day. And it turns out he knows like everything about Bon Jovi. I'm like, you're going to go on Set Listing Bruce. This death metal dude is going to go on Set Listing Bruce and talk about Bon Jovi and classic rock. My world is like, it's all coming together. It's all happening.
All right, I got a story. Okay, because Lilf and I talked to Jesse a few weeks ago because we were talking 90s music, and he told the funniest story where he's like, yeah, when he first pitched you the idea for Set Listing Bruce, he's like, you started talking about it with your wife, and you're like, it's a podcast about Bruce Springsteen. That'll probably last like 2 months. Meanwhile, he's about to hit his 1000th episode, so
it's totally true. I was like, what is he going to get, like 5 episodes in and die? And he said, like,
he's almost at 1,000. Yes.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's so
it's
cool.
Amazing. And I actually, the really funny thing is he had me interview him for the first episode. And he asks me.
That sounds like a Rob Southgate move. You'll interview me for the first. Yeah.
He asked me if I do it. I'm like, sure. And he says, so he asks me though, like, so what's your history with Bruce Springsteen? He goes, we're going to talk about that. You love Bruce as much as I do. And I'm like, no, I'm not a Bruce Springsteen guy at all. I don't know why I'm on this show. If we were talking Wilco, I'm your guy. Yeah. You like Wilco, Ben?
Truth be told, there's not a whole lot that I don't like, but I do.
That's
like
how I
Wilco.
am too.
Yeah.
That's how I am too. But Wilco is one of those bands, like it's our family band. We just bought the Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, the vinyl box set that's like this fat. That has like every note recorded for that, like demos and everything. Oh my God, we love Wilco.
That's dedication right there. I respect that.
Yeah, we just drove to Minneapolis to see Mason Jennings perform live, which we've seen him a few times. Well, it was great. His band got COVID. So
that's unfortunate.
Well, so the reason we went was his band gets COVID, and he said, look, I'm still going to do the gig because I don't have it, but we're going to do like a storytellers thing. And he did. It was like a little jazz club. And he just went up and sang and played piano and guitar, like he switched back and forth. And at one point he played guitar and he goes, I wrote this song to be on the piano, but when we recorded it, we did it all on like guitars and that. He goes, it's completely different. So tonight, it's the first time I'm playing it in front of people the way I wanted it to sound. And it was like, it was so fantastic.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and my daughter, I told you, she's way into music. She was like on the edge of her seat all night. Because she's underage to go to the older shows. So Old Man River has to go with her. But she's picking, we went and saw Bright Eyes. I'm taking her to see Bright Eyes again. We saw Mountain Goats. She's a huge Mountain Goats fan. We're going to see Mountain Goats again now. So like in the past year, 2 Mountain Goats, 2 Bright Eyes. We're going to see the National with Soccer Mommy opening. I'm like, who is this kid? This is like, I'm so happy. If we could just get a little punk rock in here. When is Husker Du going to tour? Come on, man.
Gotta get some punk rock in there.
I'm a huge Husker Du fan. We went to a storyteller thing with Bob Mould one time. My wife surprised me with tickets. It was like, I think it was my birthday. I come home from work and she's like, get ready. We're going to see Bob Mould. I'm like, Bob Mould is, when we start talking about the bands, it's, Wilco, Jeff Tweedy, Bob Mould. Like, these are my Mount Rushmore, She says, I don't know where we're sitting, but it's at this great place, this real artsy kind of theater in Minneapolis. I'm like, oh, cool. We were living there at the time. And we go in and they're taking us to our seats, and they had like weird numbers. We're like, I don't know what this is. And they walk us down and they walk us down and they walk us down, and we're second row from the stage. I literally could have gotten a restraining order. I was that close to Bob. And he comes out and he starts playing acoustic because it's supposed to be like a storyteller's thing. And he did. He told great stories. But he plays his acoustic for like 2 songs, and he's like, F this. And he puts it down. He goes, sorry, to the crew. He's like, sorry, we're not doing this for that long. Like he said, it was supposed to be half acoustic. He pulls out his guitar, his electric. He's like, I'm just going to this. And he starts killing his Husker Du stuff. I mean, crushing New Day Rising and Hate Paper Doll. And I'm just like, I'm seeing Bob Mould play Hate Paper Doll, ripping it hard on this guitar. It was glorious.
That sounds like such a good show.
Oh yeah, I almost got up and started pushing people around. I'm like, it's the 90s, let's mosh. And they're like, no, we're at an art theater. What are you doing?
Sir, please sit down.
Sir,
return to your seat.
Wait, what do you think this is, Baroque?
Hey, listen,
Is back
in the day, those shows used to be pretty wild.
Yeah, a little spit would come out of the bottom. Oh my God, did you see that?
Don't even.
Did you see the spit come out of his recorder?
Oh God.
You ever have to play a gig with a trumpet player? Gross. Trombone player, even worse. And you're like, really?
Watching people empty those things mid-performance is
gross.
I've got a pretty good stomach, but there's something about that really just gets me in a way where I'm just like, I can't do this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's gnarly.
I mean, like Jack was always good about it. Like I never felt like I got spray. And he said it was like right behind me, but man, some guys, especially when you get like fourth chair, they don't know how to control themselves. It's like a leaky bladder. They're just all over the place. Gross. I can't imagine them as old men. Gross. I have a great story about this, though. I have a great story. Phil, you're
about
getting
leaky
exclusive.
bladders?
You got a story? No.
This is worse. Here we go, Phil. Here's an exclusive. I don't think I've ever told on one of the podcasts out of all the years of podcasting.
Oh.
So I'm in junior high. And I'm playing lead alto, and my friend Chris is sitting there second chair. He eventually took first chair, so he's the one that beat me. But we're sitting there first chair, and when you sit in a symphonic band, right in front of you is a flute section, okay? When you're in the sax section. Saxes are here, flutes are directly in front, trumpets are over here. So we're behind the last chair flutes, and you're in junior high, so there's 800 girls playing flute, right? Girl directly in front of us. She's got her flute. And what we see is a clamp like this. She barfs in her flute, and she clamps so it closes it up like a tube, and it sprays all over the people sitting next to her.
Oh,
the whole band! It was like a movie. It went like, and everyone goes, ew, except the two a-hole saxophone players behind her. That start laughing and going, that was awesome. It was the grossest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, but it is the outcome you want from the situation.
It is.
Like, condolences to everyone sitting to her right.
The one directly next to her, I feel bad for. Everyone else, you get a little spray. It's junior high. I'm sure there's barf spray everywhere anyway. But right next to it, ask Luca. I'm sure Luca's comes home covered in every type of body function. And it's just disgusting. Junior high kids and grade school kids and high school kids. Gross. But this was the clamp, the barf spray. Like, I'll never forget it. Beautiful.
And as soon as you said she clamped down, I was like, uh-oh.
You do.
I know where this is going. And I both love and hate it at the same time.
Yep. Oh, it's so gross. Well, my friend Andy was in a classroom where a girl that lived down the street from where I'm sitting right now. She they were eating lunch in class, and she just stood up and covered her mouth. And of course, you know what's going to happen. But what you don't know is she was eating cup of noodles, and that's exactly what sprayed out of her nose in streams. Charlie, the janitor, came by, looked in, like all the kids. Ew! I was in the class across. You hear ew. Andy was right there. He was like, it was amazing, right? Once again, my friends, it's amazing. Dude, Charlie, the janitor, comes down, looks, just goes, ugh, walks away, comes back with that orange sawdust. Boosh. I'll clean that later. So they sat there for like a whole period with orange sawdust covering cup of noodle barf. Amazing.
That's a power move by the janitor right there. Like, no, you're going to suffer because you deserve this right now.
Well, Charlie, I think, was at the end of his career, and it was like, I'm not.
That's fair and reasonable.
Yeah. So the year before that was when we had to learn recorder. You took it and ran with it.
I didn't get the well, okay, so there's like two parts of this, right? Like one is I didn't get the memo that you're supposed to then move on after first grade, so I just stuck with it. Part of that I think is the fact that I was homeschooled.
Ah,
Yeah.
weirdo. Yeah, like my
Yeah.
daughter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Yeah. But you know what? Did it lead to any type of scholarship?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in that I played Baroque Recorder, which was something that no one else played. So when it came time to
Exactly.
apply to schools, they're like, come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Worked out.
well, do you have orange tights? Because we do have a madrigal group.
I can neither confirm nor deny the
Yeah,
possession
I
of
can confirm it.
tights.
I can confirm it. Yeah.
Been a long time though. I don't know. Oof.
Yeah, I remember when we had to play recorder, we're talking the 70s.
Mm.
And what do you think we did? We played The Hustle. To this day, I think I could muster that one on a recorder.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then I believe we played Popcorn, but that one doesn't stick with me as much. But Popcorn was also a hit in the 70s.
Wow, things had changed by the time I got around to playing it.
Do you remember this music though? Do you guys know
Yeah.
what I'm
I've heard
singing
these,
at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were hit songs. So, in other words, our parents must have been smoking something, because what the hell?
You know, it's interesting. I've always been under the assumption that that it was hot cross buns, like those were
Oh,
the
we did
things
that.
Okay, you did. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, of course.
Cool.
Hot cross buns for sure. My dad like blew my mind too, because he's a music teacher. So I bring the recorder home and I'm like all excited going doot, 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 or whatever, The Hustle. Doot, 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 doot. And my dad picks it up and he's like, "Oh, recorder." He goes, "Yeah, there's all these things you can do." And he immediately plays the Lone Ranger theme. Dun, 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 whatever. I can't remember how it goes.
Just casually.
Oh, he just like whipped it out. I was like, oh, my God, my dad is a genius. And then I realized he was playing recorder.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, didn't really go into the whole Baroque thing. So,
hey, we can't all make the right choice in life.
Which led to me being Baroque later. So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That joke had to happen at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's been sitting on that for an hour. Yeah.
I didn't want to be the person. I didn't want to be the person to make it.
I just thought of it, and it was low-hanging fruit, so I had to grab. Should we talk about Barf some more? Okay, it's done. It's 9:25. Everybody support the Black Ballad. The links will be in the show notes. My links will be there. Ben, where can people find you?
Yes.
People can find me on the internet, on Twitter at Ben_M_squared, because of my last name. And then you can also find me at Amateurish Productions at Twitch. So twitch.tv/Amateurish Productions.
Subscribe and like what he's doing over there. That helps everybody.
We do some cool stuff. Yeah, when we'd appreciate it. And then on March 8th, Pat Edwards will be coming and running us through the first chapter of the Black Ballad. So
I'll be there watching.
It's going to be a great
time.
We're so excited to have him come do that. He's such a blast to play with.
Ah, amazing. And Phil, I know that. I mean, it's my show, so I'm gonna take the lead on here. Why don't you tell people where they can find you on your network?
Well, again, you'll be able to watch all of my videos, including this one on the Capes and Lunatics YouTube channel. We have two podcasts, the Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast, and we have a new website. So yeah, just basically if you're looking for anything Capes and Lunatics, you can just go to tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network, and that will also be in the show notes. This is long show notes.
Yeah, and like and follow and review his stuff. The reviews really help. And then you can find me at our Southgate. You can find my new coaching business if you have a dream project you want to do. You want to have a free consultation just to talk about it, see if it's something I can help with. Find me at dreamingbigcoaching.com. And all those links go directly to me. I also have the podcast props where I can help you start or tweak your podcast and all your marketing. I've got an MBA in marketing, so you get the picture. And then I also run Southgate Small Business, where I do that for your small business. I help you with marketing and all that too. But really, Dreaming Big Coaching is like, it's got my heart. I think I'll burn everything else to the ground because I just love it so much. It might be a year from now. All I do is that and work with Storytellers Forge. That might be it.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, because they're both heaven to me. So thank you, Phil. Thank you for this opportunity, man. And Ben, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me on.
This was a blast.
Yeah. Great time. We talked about Vomit, Recorder,
Cocaine Bear.
What more can you want?
That's what I was going to say. For Rob, come for the coaching and stay for the vomit talk. Yes.
I'm going to get a card made. Maybe a t-shirt. Oh, you know me. I'll make a mug out of it.
Oh, yeah. Rob will be wearing the t-shirt and drinking out of the mug.
Oh, yeah. Promoting the hell out of everything.
Yeah. No, honestly, yeah. I mean, if you want a promoter, I mean, Rob Southgate is your man.
He's the hype man. Yeah. I get passionate about stuff. I only talk about stuff I really love.
And again, I had another idea. You know, if Molly wants to talk all these shows you guys go to, she should do another show. And I give her permission. She can call it the first best Southgate.
Phil, we already have a show that hasn't launched.
Oh, I should have known you were 2 steps ahead. Okay.
Yep. You want to know what it's called?
Huh? The first best Southgate.
No, it's a Wilco reference. It is Muzzle of B-Sides.
So stay tuned for that.
Because Wilco has a song Muzzle of Bees, so we call it the Muzzle of B-Sides. And we do talk about the shows we're going to, but we talk about we pick an album and we have to listen all the way through and really get used to it, and then we talk about it. So it's not always new music, although our first episode that when it comes out, there's a Meet the Host, which was so great. It's such a good episode. The second one is all about Tallahassee by the Mountain Goats. Wow. What a pleasure it was going through that album piece by piece. So I was thinking I might hit her with like one of my punk albums or something next, but she's into everything. She's like me. She'll be like, yes. Yeah. My wife's like, why don't you have her do jazz? Because I'm a big jazz guy. I'm like, I want to work us to the jazz. We'll get
have
there.
Some fun along the way.
Yes, exactly. All right, is the show over, Phil?
I was waiting for you to stop, and you don't stop.